This is the SFF Audio Podcast.
Hey, this is Jesse.
And this is Scott.
So,
What's going on this week, Jesse?
well, there's this website I've been cruising called, I think it's called the Golden Age of Science Fiction. I was trying to find it. It's always got really cool covers, pulp covers or comic book covers or something like that. And they had all these Argosy covers. I've never really seen Argosy before. It's an early fiction pulp with basically every kind of pulp fiction. But they do a lot of science fiction and adventure and that sort of thing.
Uh-huh.
You know the one I'm talking about?
I do, yeah, but I can't remember what the URL is.
Here it is. It's Golden Age Comic Book Stories, I guess. Let me just check this out. .blogspot.com. And they had all these awesome Argosy covers, which I guess it's a really early pulp. Must have gone for a while though. A few, and they're just stunning. Oh man, that's gorgeous. Sort of big, bold, the four color scheme, and then awesome art.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you saw this on the stands now, how could you not pick it up and buy it? The first Pellucidar book just came out this week from LibriVox.
Yeah.
At the Earth's Core, I think it's called.
Right. Yep, it is.
Wow.
I'm going back there. You posted something about a Princess of Mars as well.
Yeah, that's out too.
This time with a solo narrator. So the previous one was multiple.
Yeah. That's one of the things that LibriVox does that is ungodly. But other than that, it's pretty amazing. I mean, it works okay when it's a collection of short stories, but once you get started on a book, if it suddenly changes narrators, not as happy, I think.
Yeah, I like some of the titles. Like Ender's Game pops to mind, where they change narrators based on the point of view of the chapter.
Yeah. But that's not what's going on here. That's
Oh, okay.
well, at least not usually. What usually is happening is they want to make an audiobook come out faster, and so they break the work up and give it to 15 people at the same time, or one guy starts it and gets tired and somebody else takes it up.
Yeah, I imagine that would work okay if all the narrators were good.
No, even so, like different pronunciations, different accents. They're not coordinating the work to figure out how to do what slant to give the characters dialogue and all that stuff. So it's not the same thing as the Ender's Game situation.
Yeah, I know some publishers believe that an entire series should be read by the same person.
Yeah.
The thing that leaps to mind is Stephen King's Dark Tower series.
Did that?
That was originally read. Well, I think that Stephen King actually read the first book, and then they re-recorded it with Frank Muller, who's one of my favorite all-time narrators. And then Frank Muller got in a terrible accident.
That's right.
And they re-recorded all of them again. But anyway, when he did that, they re-recorded all of them with George Guidall as the narrator, rather than keep the Muller ones and then change to Guidall later.
This reminds me. It was weird. I was watching that show. Have you seen called Criminal Minds?
No, I have not.
It's like a murder of the week sort of show, CSI, etc. With the FBI profilers being the heroes. They go around the United States solving serial killers or serial whatevers, and they just give a profile. And it just reminded me that one of the characters the geeky character on the show, was really excited. He said, "Road trip, that's great." Um, gives us a chance to listen to that new copy of Isaac Asimov's Foundation trilogy, as read by Peter Coyote. And I'm thinking, wait a second, Peter Coyote did a version of Isaac Asimov's Foundation trilogy? That'd be pretty cool. Um,
Yeah, I would.
I don't believe it exists. I'm just looking it up now. Um,
Uh,
Books on Tape Foundation trilogy to which Reed refers does not exist. Peter Coyote has narrated many audiobooks, but Asimov's Foundation trilogy has never been released. Some more LibriVox stuff that came out this week. Yeah, other than Princess of Mars, there was the Castle of Otranto, which is a 1764 novel. It's described on Wikipedia as one of the first, or if not the first, Gothic novels. Hard to explain what it's about because I don't really know the details, but
huh.
it's done by a single narrator, which I think is going to give it a good chance for having a good listen.
Well,
Um,
good.
there's also Mary Shelley's book called The Last Man, which is, by author of Frankenstein.
Uh-huh.
And this one's a little easier to explain because its title is kind of familiar, right? Last Man on Earth, etc.
Yep.
Book tells of a future world that's ravaged by plague, that's gradually killing off everyone. Uh, Lionel, the central character, is the son of a nobleman who gambled himself into poverty, finds himself immune to being attacked by an infected Negro, in quotation marks, and copes with a civilization that is gradually dying out around him. When I was looking up the details on this one, it actually appears that this uses a lot of biographical information from Shelley's own life, which is
Uh-huh.
kind of strange. So it's uh, it's not um, it's not like set in the distant future. It's set in a, I guess, near future for Shelley. So it's like a vintage end of the world story.
Oh, neat.
I guess they're all like that. Like I was thinking of uh what's that one with it's called On the Beach. Who's the author of that?
Oh,
Neville
Neville
Shute.
Shute.
That's right, Neville
Hmm.
Shute. That one is vintage as well, right? It's set not in the 21st century, but in I guess the very near future of whenever it was written.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's a great book, by the way.
Yeah. Me too. Me too.
Sort of a classic of apocalyptic fiction or whatever. And
Right.
then the last one that came out in this batch that I posted about is called The Wood Beyond the World. And this is actually, I did up the whole post of it, and then I checked my email, and Corey Samuel said, "Here it's done." I said, "Oh, yeah, that's nice, but why are you telling me?" And he said, "Yeah, it's from the SFF Audio Challenge #2." And I said, "Oh,
Uh-huh.
really? Okay." So um, that's it's pretty funny. I completely forgot about it. He actually took the project on 11 months ago.
Oh.
And after 11 months and you don't hear anything, you kind of figure it's sort of in the wind, right?
Uh-huh.
But
Right.
it's finished. And um, this is another old one. Um, it's a fantasy novel by the first modern fantasy writer, is the idea. William Morris is the author.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and let's just read this description here. Its use of archaic language has been seen by some readers as making the fiction difficult to read, but it brings a wonderful atmosphere to the telling. Morris considered his fantasies a revival of the medieval tradition of chivalrous romances. In consequence, they tend to have sprawling plots strung together adventures. Plots of strung together adventures. In this story, Walter leaves his father and his own unfaithful wife and sets sail in search of adventure. This he finds aplenty, accounting love, treachery, and magic in the wood of the title, traveling through the mountains of the folk of the bears. But can he find happiness and peace by means of this quest?
Huh.
Very old, but sort of the forerunner of modern fantasy fiction altogether in novel form of 5 hours. So it's a good length. And the only real barrier is it is very flowery. It
Uh-huh.
sounded like it was quite hard to record
Oh,
with all that. The way a book is written can really affect it.
sure. Yeah. I think, you and I both have had the experience where we listen to something that just doesn't really work on audio.
That's was yeah, actually I I was reading an email by Julie. She was saying that she was having trouble with an audiobook she just got from us.
Uh-huh.
And I won't mention which one because maybe that'll make her come on the show and tell us about it.
That's for sure.
Last one from LibriVox this week that is very cool. I think this is probably the coolest little title I've never heard of. It's called A Houseboat on the Styx. Did you read this story I posted? I posted it late
I
last
did,
night.
yeah.
Um,
Uh-huh. I
this
saw it this morning.
this is a very cool idea. It's by a guy named John Kendrick Banks who I encountered earlier this month or late last month. I think it was earlier this month in a short story called "Ghosts That Have Haunted Me," which was in the LibriVox collection 006 of ghost stories. But
Uh-huh.
this is one of his Bangsian fantasy novels. And Bangsian fantasy is a kind of fantasy invented by John Kendrick Banks, which is fiction set in the afterlife, or at least
Hmm.
it's if he didn't invent it, it's the thing that he has become known for in fantasy. So stories set in the afterlife. So this sort of reminds me of Mur Lafferty's series of Heaven and Hell books.
Mm-hmm.
They're audiobooks. Um,
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
it's sort of, but the way it's written, it sounds like a combination of Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. Um, Very old, late 19th century. So 1897, I think. Um, but it starts off with Charon. He's the ferryman on the River Styx. He's crossing back and forth on the river, bringing the dead from one side to the other. From the land of the dead into the Hades proper, getting his money. He's got a monopoly on the river, and as he's pontooning himself across, he notices something he's never seen before. There's a houseboat moored on the side of the river, and he's really upset. He thinks his monopoly on transportation of the dead is going to be broken. Um,
Uh-huh.
but it turns out that the houseboat is been placed there so he can be the caretaker. But what happens is it's a place for parties, and
Hmm.
it's the excuse the author has to get all the people he likes from history and mythology to get together for dinner parties on on the boat. So you've got everyone from Shakespeare and Socrates um, to modern fictional characters sitting on the boat having dinner parties. It's kind of like the Riverworld series from Philip Jose Farmer, but
Yeah, it
played more
sounds
for
like that.
comedy than for some mysterious plot that's grinding away in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Really clever idea, and it feels very modern. I was reading. I haven't actually listened to it yet, but I was reading the text, and it comes off as really funny.
There's a site called netlibrary.com,
Hmm.
which our library has subscribed to. I don't know if it's a permanent situation, because I live in a small town and very limited funds there, so I'm not sure exactly how long we'll get to have this. But what they have, it's a place where you can download ebooks and you can download audiobooks, and all the audiobooks that they have are from recorded books.
Hmm.
And it's interesting. You just go in there and you tell it, I want to check this book out. And then there's DRM on it,
Yeah,
which makes it work for about 3 weeks.
yeah.
And then it stops working. Um, It really works well. There are some negative things. The first negative thing is it won't play on my iPod.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know why, but there's devices that won't work, or devices that don't play well with the DRM they've chosen, I guess. And iPods are one of them. Of course, that could be gotten around very easily. So I don't know why people bother with that, but um,
Well, it can be gotten around just by downloading it illegally, right?
well, yeah, you can download it illegally, but
But
anything
that's
anything you get into your computer. I mean, what I do is I play in Windows Media Player, and then I record it
yeah. But
into
it's just so
MP3.
stupid. I mean,
Yeah.
it's such a stupid system that it's forcing people to do a workaround like that.
Yeah.
Well, what
Yeah, I
difference
have
does
to
it?
do a workaround to get it on my iPod,
Right.
and as
So
long as I'm not making that available to people, I don't feel wrong about it. I don't know, I've heard people say, hey, they don't want you doing even that, but hey, if I bought a cassette,
you can do what you
um,
want with it. Don't
I
worry
could
about
do what
that.
I want with it, right?
Breaking. There was a law that was set to happen right before our federal election was called in Canada, called Bill C-61. It looks like it's dead now, at least
Uh-huh.
under that name. While we're having another election, actually, the vote's going to be on Tuesday, um, and it was going to make it illegal to break DRM. So if you're
Mm,
circumventing DRM, whether it's in your privacy or in your own bedroom or whatever, it would be punishable by fines and actually not fines, statutory damages. So you
right.
sue me, you get to take money away from me. Um, but just doing what you're doing to make it functional on your device, even though you own the copy and you're not distributing the copy, is what is so ridiculous. I mean, think about it this way: you've got some audiobook that you want. It's available at your library. You get it at your library, but it won't play on your MP3 player because your MP3 player um, doesn't support this particular DRM. That's probably supplied by a company called Overdrive, by the way.
Uh-huh.
Um, and the same exact service is available for my library, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not through NetLibrary. I actually was writing up a post about this, and I never finished it because I guess I was getting too negative. I don't know, um, but
Well, I mean, the whole idea of it is excellent. I mean, they're getting audiobooks in people's hands, and this is an electronic way to get the audiobooks to people. Um,
yeah, the
I
post is
don't
in
know. I don't know
draft.
what the answer is, though. I mean, I understand what you're saying, and I do agree that it's a pain in the butt for me and stuff. However, if they were to have this net library site, if I could go in there and download MP3 versions, right now, I guess I'm playing devil's advocate. I don't know why is it that they won't do that, and I'm assuming that the reason is they figure, well,
It's going to get
someone
distributed.
will come in there and it's going to get distributed. Somebody's going to throw it on a torrent or something like that,
Yep,
which will happen.
which is more likely, more likely. Um, but the whole point is, yeah. So in my post, I said basically, this is what I wrote. This is in draft, so I haven't posted it, but it says,
Uh-huh.
"Hey, I just discovered this awesome place. It's just like a bookstore, except all the books are free, but you do have to return them. But like I said, the books are
Uh-huh.
free. Uh,
Right.
but they, oh, I went on a little twist about no coffee's allowed in there, like a regular bookstore. It's really quiet in there. They don't frown at you if you aren't quiet, but they do frown at you if you aren't quiet. One other cool thing is that they have free audiobooks. Um, but it isn't all new stuff. In fact, a lot of it's still on audio cassette. But they have free downloadable audiobooks, but they're all DRM to hell. So much for that public library idea. Yeah, it's basically a negative post about how public libraries got suckered into this stupid deal because I did the exact same thing as you. I saw my local library has a overdrive version of Slan,
Mm-hmm.
and I live in a city with a couple of branches, so I could go to um, the other branch, which is not going to be, it's actually closed for renovation and won't be available until January, and get the hard copy, I guess, right?
Uh-huh.
But it's closed, so I can't go there and get Slan. So my choices are download it through Overdrive and get a DRM'd one that won't play on anything except for my Windows Vista machine. I can't take it
Uh-huh.
portable with me. I'll just sit in front of the computer and listen to a 10-hour audiobook. I don't think so. So
Right,
my
right.
choices are either not listen to it in front of my computer, or download a copy illegally and put it on my iPod so I can listen to something from my local library. It's not reasonable.
Yeah.
I mean, think of the wasted resources. You've got your computer running for 10 hours so that you can record something to MP3 that is available for quick and easy, dirty download from a torrent.
Hmm.
Why would you waste all that computer energy, all the electricity, all that
I
runtime of your computer to do this ridiculous program? I mean, it makes sense if you can't find it through a torrent, but it would be stupid of you to do it that way.
Yeah, yeah. I guess I can't argue with you, but that is the way that I've been doing it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it's silly, you know. I can go to the library and I can get a CD version, and CDs don't play in my iPod either, so I
No,
convert
but
them to my iPod.
yeah, but
Yeah.
that's not because they're full of DRM. It's because
No, yeah,
they're a different
that's right.
format. Your
That's exactly
iPod
right.
doesn't
So
have.
all I'm doing, I'm doing the exact same thing. I'm converting from one format to another format.
Yeah, but the CD version doesn't take the runtime of the entire disk. It converts quickly,
Yeah, that's
and it
true.
rips
That's true.
extremely quickly.
Hmm.
And they expect you to do this. This is a form of uh, uh, acceptable, or if not completely acceptable, fairly acceptable use. Right? In
Hmm.
Canada, we have a levy on iPods and blank media, right? So that they're assuming, the government is assuming, and everyone is assuming that blank CDs are being filled with rips of MP3s and rips of movies and etc. from any source, either your own personal source or whatever. They're assuming that these media are being filled with um, copyrighted material, and so they
Hmm.
take part of the money that you're spending on on the media and give it to recording associations. Now, I unfortunately I think most of that money goes to music. They're obsessed with music, music, music. Uh,
Uh-huh.
so the musicians organizations are getting all the money, where the poor audiobook organizations are getting nothing.
Right. Well, so you're advocating that they just do it in MP3 at the beginning. So
Sure.
now I can go to the net library. I can take a book out for free, and then I've got it on MP3, which is what it ends up as anyway when I'm doing it the way I'm doing it, right?
Or
But
M4A,
but
yeah.
the but the truth is, like on iPods, I can go rent a movie now from Apple. I can go into iTunes. I can pay $2.99, and it'll download a movie into my iPod, and I can watch it. And I get it for 24 hours. Okay, and then it stops working. Okay,
Yep.
but I'm perfectly satisfied with that.
But that's because
That's
the
like the deal that
problem.
I'm making.
But
So what
the
I'm saying is,
problem
if
is it's
NetLibrary worked on my device, I would be perfectly
of
satisfied with the
course,
DRM.
of
Okay.
course you should be.
Mhm.
That's the whole point. The DRM is not. It's not DRM is not evil because it's DRM. It's evil because it doesn't allow you to do functionality.
Uh
Takes
huh.
away functionality. I mean, the whole point of an audiobook is you take it portable. It's not sit in front of your computer and listen all day.
That's right. Yeah.
If it was
Yeah,
sit
and
in front of your
it works on.
computer,
I mean, NetLibrary. Just so that everyone's clear, it does work on a lot of devices. It just doesn't work on the iPod.
yeah, it doesn't work on the
So
major audiobook device.
right.
If you were
Yeah. No,
talking
I
to
agree with you
anyone
that
in the
it's not
world and
right.
you
I
were
agree
saying,
with you 100% that it's not right. I'm just trying to, what's the solution? I mean, the publishers could do that, but I can't help but to think that hey, if they put these out there on MP3 now, I mean, your feeling is that there's gonna be less piracy.
No, I have
But
no I have no
if it's
opinion
available for
about that.
free, that's basically what you're doing is you're making it available for free. Then why would anyone buy it?
It's not available for free, Scott. You're paying for your library. You pay
Mm-hmm.
for your library and city taxes.
That's true.
I pay
That's
for
true.
my library and city taxes. So
Mm-hmm.
my job is to give my city tax money to my library. My library takes that money and buys this service that makes my life miserable.
Uh
And
huh.
I'm supposed to be happy no, and sit in front of my computer for 10 hours? I don't think so.
No,
I
no,
mean,
I'm in
if you
agreement. I'm
accept
in agreement with that. I'm just trying to decide what's the answer for the publishers.
well, the
And
publishers, I don't think are really the problem here. I think that the
mm-hmm.
problem is the idea that the industry should be dominated by, companies that only provide DRM product.
Uh huh.
So Blackstone, for example, they've got an MP3 CD program. This is ideal for transferring to an iPod. This is exactly
Right.
what you want. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so when I go into the library and I see a Blackstone audiobook, I'm really happy because that means I have a quick and easy transfer to my iPod.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually got a couple MP3 CD players, but I find that the sound, the volume for some reason is quite low, and I
Uh huh.
find it hard to listen to it on the MP3 CD player. Um,
Huh.
I don't know. That's probably just the model I have. You put in a regular CD, it sounds fine, normal volume, but uh, MP3 CD player is low. But with a DRM'd product, your choices are do what you do. Record the full length of the audiobook to using Audacity, convert it to MP3, and then drag it into your iPod. That'll work. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's like digging a ditch and filling it back in all day long.
Right.
When
Right.
you could just unspool a fence and be done with it. But I'm not so concerned about what the what the what will happen to piracy if it's all available for free. The fact is music is all available for free, and that hasn't killed the music industry. I'm talking like on torrent sites, right? I
Uh
don't
huh.
deal with music all day long, but anything you're interested in, you can get on a torrent site if you're so inclined.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not wrong about this. Any song that you're interested in, you can get on a torrent site.
Right.
Now, is it true that every audiobook is out there? I don't know. Probably a lot of them are, but the point is I don't really care if I can get it legitimately. All I
Uh
want is
huh.
it on my iPod so I can listen
Right.
to something I'm interested in. If you make it difficult for me, I'm going to make it as easy as possible for myself. And that doesn't mean I'm going to try and get it for free when I should be paying for it. It means I'm going to try and get it. Right? That means get it at my local library on CD and copy it over, buy a copy if that's feasible. But it's just like running a blog post. If you've got a blog feed, your RSS feed is, um, just the headline and the first two sentences of your story, and you force people to go to your website to view the ads. People are just going to abandon it and will go somewhere else. It's not a good
Hmm.
system for your blog's RSS feed. You should just give the whole story away, and if they want to click through, they will. Driving people to do this hoop jumping just makes people uh, ignore you. It hurts publishers to go this extra step. If you examine the overdrive numbers, I'm betting you won't see a giant spike in sales from these. I believe Audible's getting a giant spike because iPods are the convenient way to do it.
Right. Yep.
So uh, this is probably why I didn't post that story. Is I'm I'm just frustrated with the fact that why should I be forced to go out and buy another MP3 player because the one I have, the most common one in the world for audiobooks, is not functional with um, the service my library is providing.
Yeah. I don't know. The whole thing is very sticky to me. I just don't. Um, I don't like that people can get everything for free.
Well, do you
Um,
not like
and
library?
I know that the publishers don't either
Are you a
because I
library
think
hater, Scott?
no, 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 no. I like the library.
But that's my
Um,
point, is you're not getting it for free, right? Getting it from the library is not getting it for free.
oh, no, 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 no. I meant torrent sites and stuff like that. So
What you're saying is,
this is what publishers are so worried about, right? It's the fact that, hey, this thing that we just spend all this money to make and sell our product is now being given away free by pirates. Okay, so it's piracy that they're worried about, and that's why DRM exists in the first place. Because if people weren't doing that, they wouldn't have DRM, right?
okay. Think of here's the one thing that made me really think that's not really what they should be worried about.
Uh huh.
That's what they claim to be worried about and stuff. But
Uh huh.
think of it this way: when you go to the bookstore, you're spending money on books, right?
Right. Hmm.
The author's getting paid because the bookstore bought the books, and they are giving the money from those books to the author, right?
Okay. Hmm.
When you go to the used bookstore, who gets paid?
Nobody. Just the bookstore.
Okay. So
Yep.
why shouldn't we make used bookstores illegal?
I'd be against that
Uh,
because yeah, the book is an item, right? Yeah.
what difference does that make to the author? It hurts the author to have books not automatically explode after they're written. I'm serious. It
No, yeah,
hurts the
well,
author. This is
no,
the logic
I,
chain. The problem
okay,
here is we have this idea that um, only people will never pay for something that they can get for free. That's the idea we have, right?
uh-huh,
The truth of the matter is people pay for stuff they can get for free every day. Every day.
uh-huh,
Just walk out into the world and tell me that you don't see people carrying water bottles around. This
right,
is stuff they
yeah,
can get for free from their city. Well, they're paying for it from there. They're
uh-huh,
refusing to get, they're circumventing the system they're paying for, their municipal water system, and spending money on a product that is unbelievably inexpensive, right? Why are they
mm-hmm,
doing this? For convenience. So why is it more likely that you will go to a used bookstore and buy a copy of a book that you're looking for than you will wait for it to come back into print? Because that's practical and that's reasonable. It's
mm-hmm,
practical and reasonable. If you make it impractical and unreasonable for people to get the audiobook they want, then you will have the same problem you have with a used bookstore. The
which is
problem,
that people
the,
will buy used audiobooks or
or
get them for
whatever,
free.
or
Uh-huh,
download it from a torrent. The whole point is people will do things that seem like that would be against their interest. Um, but what we're concerned about is that authors get remunerated, right? They get paid for their work.
uh-huh,
I have no problem with this. This makes sense to me. But you don't get money from a stone. And think of just the way you started off as a fan of science fiction. Did you start
mm-hmm.
off as a fan who was wealthy and rich, spent all your disposable income on science fiction, or did you start off as a kid who got gifts from parents and spent a lot of time at the library and went to used bookstores?
That's exactly right.
Okay, you're a guy who
Yeah,
went to used bookstores
mm-hmm,
looking for books, went to
absolutely.
comic
Mm-hmm,
book stores looking for old comics. You know,
uh-huh,
you're the guy who you just spent money on an Edgar Rice Burroughs book, and guess what? Edgar Rice Burroughs is not getting any money from that book that you bought for the second time in your life, or
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
right. So,
right.
uh, is that chain of payment immoral? No, it's not. And getting stuff from a torrent site isn't immoral per se. The problem here is if we are disconnecting the author from that revenue stream at all, it could be immoral. It could be immoral in some, or
Mm-hmm,
at least unethical in some system. I'm not so concerned about that. I think that people will do unreasonable things like um, paying for things they don't have to, giving donations to authors, may be the new way of the future, right? I give
uh-huh,
donations to uh, podcasts or audiobooks that I like, things that I can get for free, because
mm-hmm,
I say this is a really good thing. It connected with me. I'd like to hear more of it. I don't
uh-huh,
do that because I feel guilty. I do that because I think I'm making a reasonable decision. It might not be reasonable to other people, but I see people carrying bottles of water around, and I think they're completely insane, and that they should not have access to bank accounts, right?
Uh-huh.
So, it, just the way you're going about solving your library's dysfunctional system. The people who set up NetLibrary and Overdrive are not audiobook listeners. If they were, they would know that that's not the way people listen. They don't
Mm-hmm.
DRM their I mean, think about it. Imagine you rented or borrowed the library audiobook that you wanted from your library, and you go past the due date, right? It's
Uh-huh.
automatically deleted from your system. Actually, it's not even deleted, it's just non-functional anymore, right? It doesn't
Uh-huh.
even delete itself. It just ends up sitting on your computer not being able to do anything. Um,
Uh-huh.
you could renew it, right? Which would mean you download the whole thing again.
Uh-huh.
Or you could just break the DRM and keep listening.
Right.
Which is more practical? Well, whichever one is more practical is what you'll do. But ideally, you just want to have the audiobook on your player, and
Mm-hmm.
you'll support your public library, giving them money so that they can buy more stuff, right? If you wanted to, you say, well, libraries are bad for authors too because they're giving away a product that shouldn't be used more than once. Well, some authors actually believe that. I know that some authors believe that used bookstores are bad. They refuse to sign used books, old books. They only want to
Huh.
sign new books. They think that their revenue stream will increase if their audio, not their audio, their readers are forced to buy more copies of their books. I can understand, yeah, it's a very short-term desire, but it's just it's so stupid.
Huh.
So, when the system seems wrong to you, like when you're doing something so ridiculous, if there's doesn't seem right, the question's being framed wrong. I think that's really got to be the truth.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying?
I do. Yep.
So, what are you going to do about your DRM'd audiobooks at the library? No, I don't. I'm not being facetious. I actually mean like,
Uh-huh.
do you anticipate doing this for a long period of time? What like taking the DRM product? Are you going to buy a new player to just listen to the ones,
No, 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 no.
or are
I
you just
don't
going to avoid it altogether?
I would use it only when I can't obtain it another way, which is exactly what I'm doing now.
Yeah,
But,
it might make you buy more copies. It might,
mm-hmm.
like you go to the library, you try and you know, you get this wonderful copy, and then you can't play it, and then you say, well, I guess I could just go buy it from the publisher's website. Go to the publisher's website, you buy it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now, are you using the library service anymore?
No, you're
Well,
not.
they're using the library service as a catalog to find stuff that you want to buy elsewhere,
Right, right.
which is how I use Amazon. I use Amazon as a service, but you understand, Amazon's still doing well, whether I do it that way or not. So
Uh-huh.
the point is the library system. If you think the library system is bad, then um, and you can circumvent it by purchasing everything. But that's just not going to happen. If you don't have an unlimited income, you're going to use the library. You're going to go to used bookstores. You're going to buy. I used to buy all my audiobooks on eBay, and it wasn't because I was particularly cheap, although I am. It's because that's the way I could get the product. I couldn't get interlibrary loans to get recorded books and books on tape. And
Uh-huh.
buying, spending $70 on an audiobook or $120 on an audiobook from the publishers who were not doing retail when I started listening to unabridged audiobooks would be impossible. What is the practical upshot of the Overdrive style library system? Is it more use of the library, or is it just sort of an anecdotal thing, like it's out there and nobody's going to use it?
Yeah.
What do you think? Uh,
Yeah, well, I imagine that, people that
'Cause it's been around a few
want to
years.
use it a lot, they'll use the they'll get the device that works with it. I don't know, because I mean, like I said earlier, if it worked with my iPod, I'd be perfectly satisfied with it.
Yeah, I think that I've never been able to get mine to work properly. I had to, yeah, I assuming that just bookmarks just like a regular Audible one, it would probably be just fine. But failing that, failing the fact that I'm not going to go out and buy another MP3 player, carry two MP3 players around with me all the time.
I got to think about it some more.
Well, you mean on the overdrive?
No, just on DRM in general. DRM. The the ideal thing, according to like Cory Doctorow, and I'm assuming like yourself, is basically, hey, no DRM. And the reason that publishers do DRM in the first place is they're trying to prevent piracy.
It's a circumvention thing. They want you to avoid any. They want to maximize the revenue stream.
Yeah, they want to maximize their revenue stream by not letting people have it for free. But at the same time,
Paperback that can only
they
be
put it
read
on
by one
audio
person.
CD. They put it on audio CD, and then I can share it with whoever I want.
But you
You
could
know.
do that anyway, Scott.
Yeah, I could.
So,
No, that's what I'm saying. That's my point of that. So,
and you're more likely to. Look,
but if I
if
look
you
at my own usage, if I get it on MP3, I have given that to other people before, where I'm like, oh man, there was this really great book. Here, if you want to listen to it, you can have a copy of it right here, right?
yeah.
So
So how's that
if
different
I have
from?
a hardcover, if I had to have a hardcover book,
Yeah.
the latest Stephen King or whatever, and
Yeah, you can lend
I
it to
finish
your
reading,
wife and she can
and I
read
lend
it.
it, and that's it. But it's not multiple copies. And
Y-
is that what they're thinking about?
Okay, well I thought of one really cool way to avoid the problem that you have, that multiple copies are bad, right? Multiple
Uh-huh.
copies are, if multiple copies are what the evil part of, the immoral part of it is. Here's my idea, okay?
Mhm.
You have a 2-hour movie and you treat it like a torrent. That is, it's on only one computer at a time. Any one part of the movie, any one frame of the movie is on any one computer at a time. Okay, so I'm watching the movie. I only have the one frame that I'm watching. You have a movie, you only have the one frame that I'm watching. You can have thousands of people watching one copy of the movie at a time.
Uh-huh.
This is completely avoiding, um, having more than one copy of the movie circulated. But I'm sharing it with my friends, right? I buy the movie and I share only one frame at a time with my friends. We're watching them sequentially. We could do it as a,
Mhm.
a, a TV show if you want to make it even easier. 20 part TV show, 20 episode TV show. I watch the first
Uh-huh.
episode, you're watching the second episode. My friend Joe is watching the third episode, right?
Uh-huh.
Then we all switch. Only
Mhm.
one copy is available on each computer at the time. That's
Mhm.
what it's like to have an audiobook that you're sharing with your friends. Just because we're listening to it at the same time doesn't make it more immoral than us listening to it sequentially.
Well, yeah,
If
I'd
it
have to
did,
agree
then
with that.
it'd be
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Mhm.
I mean, the
But I'm assuming what they're worried about is, okay, I have an audiobook, I make a copy of it, and I give it to you. You've got friends, you make a bunch of copies of it, and you give it to them. So you're saying, well, if this was a book, a hardcover book, and I read it, then I gave it to you, then you gave it to the next person, then you gave it to the next person. There's nothing immoral about that,
no.
right? But but for some
Some
reason,
people would say there is. The publishers would say there is. Some authors
oh,
say there is, but
no, I
we
certainly have no
disagree.
problem with that. Yeah, I would disagree with them on
Right.
that.
So if you accept that, that's okay. So
But then, yeah, if I have an audiobook and I give it to you, and then you give it to three friends, and those three give it to three more. Now you've got soon
you,
you've got 100 copies, and anyone who wants it free can get it for free. Well, who's gonna buy it?
well, first of all, the one guy,
Yeah, the one guy
the
bought
one
it.
guy
Yeah.
bought it.
Uh
Okay.
huh. Because, you know, what you're saying makes sense, you know, to a point, but it could get out of
But do you
hand, like,
think
you know.
that that's actually the way that the system works? Do you think that it's actually the
I
case
think
that
that,
I
I
share
think
it with
that's
50
what they
friends?
fear. I think that's what they fear
That's
because
absolutely what they
there
fear.
are so many audiobooks out there right now that
I gotta ask you, my friend.
mhm.
Did this happen with the most pirated book of all time?
The most pirated book of all time is
Got to be
what?
Harry Potter, right?
Probably so. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did this
Oh yeah.
happen that the publisher didn't get any revenue, and then J.K. Rowling is
No, they
dying in
got
the
plenty
gutter
of
of
revenue.
homelessness and the lack of food?
They got plenty of revenue. Yeah.
Yeah.
In
In
fact,
fact,
there's an example of a torrent that I actually used. I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear. I bought
I
every
hope
Harry
this is
Potter
still recording,
audiobook.
buddy.
Yeah, it is recording.
Good stuff.
I bought every Harry Potter audiobook in the United States. Okay, every time one came out, I bought it.
Uh-huh.
Because that's, you know, I like that more than reading them. I thought they were fabulous audiobooks. But Stephen Fry read them in England,
Mm-hmm.
so I wanted to hear what that was like.
Mm-hmm.
So rather than buy it again, I went and got a torrent.
And is this a like a confessional thing? Did you tell your priest?
No, I didn't.
Do you feel that you should?
I didn't. I no, I don't.
Why
Maybe that's
not?
wrong.
Because you
Because
spent the money. You
I
spent the
did.
money. You spent the
That's
money.
exactly
Have you
right.
supported Random House and have you supported J.K. Rowling? Yes, you have.
Yes, I have.
Will you still be spending money on J.K. Rowling books in the future? Yes, you will.
Yes, I
Um,
will. Uh-huh.
if you go with the chain logic that for every enjoyment of a product there must be financial remuneration to the author, guess what? When I buy an audiobook or I buy a product, I expect to be able to use it and share it with my friends. And that does
Hmm.
not mean share it with everybody in the whole world and everybody's going to get a copy and the author's not going to get any money. That's not what I'm talking about. I mean, share it with my friends. And guess what? Some of my friends are going to say, wow, that's really great. I'm going to go buy some other stuff from this author. And they will.
Yeah.
Even if you have lots of violations of copyright, people are making money off of, copying products and all that stuff. If somebody is making money off of selling copies, that's entirely different than sharing a copy. And
Right.
the reason it's entirely different is money is changing hands that the author is not getting remunerated for. If I go to my library and I borrow a book that they purchased on my behalf for the city that I live in, and I share that audiobook with you, no money is changing hands. However,
Hmm.
if I take that copy and I start selling it and start changing hands, money starts changing hands, I give the copy to you, and you pay me, then the author
Hmm.
is being cut out of the system. But in fact, it works the opposite way. If you make it available for free in some manner by a torrent or whatever, buying a copy is less likely, not more likely, right? Because why would you buy it when you can get it for free? You
Right.
can't have it
Yep.
both ways. You can't say that
Uh-huh.
the companies can't say that they're losing money because people are giving it away for free, and they're losing money because people are selling it. I understand the former. I don't understand the you can't make both arguments at the same time. But on the other hand, you can because people are selling LibriVox titles on eBay. Okay, how is this
Hmm.
possible month after month? How can you sell an audiobook that you can get for free? Well, people want it when they want it, how they want it,
Hmm.
right? You
Yep.
can sell legitimately on LibriVox anything that's on LibriVox on eBay. You just put your pack and put it on a CD and sell it as a package. You can re-edit it, you can remix it, you can, add your own music to it, whatever you want to do. You could do that, and people don't make a lot of money doing it, I assume, but they do sell it. So,
Mm.
is this because it's not available for free? No, they even mention on most of the advertisements that it's available on LibriVox for free. So people want
Yep.
bottled water. It doesn't mean that the municipal water system is going out of business. It just means that some people want it a certain way.
Right.
And
Well,
I think just the paper the paper used bookstore is the perfect example. I love paper used bookstores, not because they have they're circumventing the payment to authors, and I hate authors, and I want to take away all their money. I go to the used bookstore because that's where I can find books that I can't find at the regular bookstore. Right? And I'm not gonna.
Right.
It's not reasonable to wait for it to come back into print.
Yep.
It's not realistic. And if there was a way to automatically give money to authors after you enjoyed one of their books, people would use it. There's a few experiments. I know the Liaden books, they they release them when enough money's been generated to pay for them. So if you like their books, you like their series of books, you pay your money up front, and when enough people have paid the money, then they write the book. I think this is a funny way of doing it. But I guess, make sure that there's going to be enough audience to make it worth their while. It's probably less gambling than most writing of. I mean, if everybody who wrote got paid, then there would be a lot more justice in the world. But most people write the novel and then they don't get paid. Right?
Right.
There's thousands and thousands of unpaid novelists out there, and they're not going to get paid. Not because they didn't put in the hard work, just like any other author did. It's because they're not as talented, or they're not as original, or they're not as skilled.
Right.
It's you can't play the justice card when it comes to authors and their hard work, because guess what? Lots of people aren't getting paid for their hard work. I think you do much better being sympathetic than you do being hard ass and unreasonable. It just doesn't make sense to me. So what are you seriously going to do about your library problem?
It's not a huge problem. I've got enough audiobooks that I don't run into it all that often.
But what I'm saying is I don't think you're going to use it. I don't think you're going to use it.
No, I'm probably not going to use it.
Right.
Yeah. If there's a torrent available, it's the same thing as converting it.
Yeah. Well, no, it's good that your library is buying the books you want. It's unfortunate that you can't use them. Right?
Yeah.
So
right.
You can, I mean, one thing you could do is you could encourage your library to keep buying these overdrive books, and then just whenever they've got one, if you wanted to follow the chain, you could, you see they've got it in stock. Oh, great! I can go look for a torrent. What difference would that make? Right? It might be a temptation to get stuff your library doesn't have. I guess, but that's one way you could do it.
This has been the SFF Audio Podcast. Please join us at www.sffaudio.com.